Dzień dobry, ciao, assalamu alaikum, konnichiwa, guten morgen, bonjour, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? It's actually not 10. It's 3 minutes past 10. Apologies. Hate being late and a few technical difficulties this morning, but there's a reason for it. And we've been preparing to give you the information that you need. You know, we had a call this week from John who said, I don't really understand stamp duty, seems very unfair. Can you give me some idea of what it will cost at various price points? And so we prepared some slides for you so that you know all about stamp duty. As it's Ask Jay Tuesday, you know, we like to answer your questions on, you know, what your property issues are and whether we can shed some light on some subjects which can be a bit confusing. Stamp duty is one of those, isn't it? Now, if you're a first-time buyer, it's different from if you're a second-time buyer. It's different from if you're someone that's buying a property to let or letting a property to buy. So we're going to run through all the various things and what the costs are to you personally with some slides. And let's start with the good old first-time buyer. So if you're a first-time buyer and you're wondering what stamp duty is, well, the first thing I'll tell you about stamp duty is that for you, it could be good news because you are exempt up to 300,000. And the thing a lot of people don't realize is that you're exempt whether you buy before or after the end of September. So the actual stamp duty holiday has had no impact on first-time buyers whatsoever. And it's one of the reasons why the first-time buyer end of the market hasn't been busier, is because actually it has zero impact on you. But let's have a look at the numbers anyway, so you've got an idea of what it all means. So if you're a first-time buyer and you're buying either pre or post September, then you can see that the figures don't vary. So if we take the different numbers, you're exempt up to the first 300,000 of your purchase. So if you're a first-time buyer here in SW16 and you're buying at 300,000, then the stamp duty price to you is zero. If you have any questions, we are live, by the way, so do feel free to comment, and we will see your comments come up live if there's any questions we can help you with on this, because we know it's a tricky subject. And similarly, if you have any comments afterwards, please leave them. We will respond if there's anything that you need clarification on. We've chosen some price points that are relevant for our area here in SW16 Norbury, but if you're in another area, you may find these figures differ dramatically depending on what the costings are in your area. But the key points to take away from this, if you're a first-time buyer and you're looking at stamp duty right now, are number one, it's actually the most unfair tax there is. Why? Because actually the government do nothing and get paid. And that's why they love it. And that's why it will be with us for a long time, in my view. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I'd love to see it go because I do think it's unfair. But I also think it's the simplest tax to collect because the solicitors collect it for the government and send it straight on. There is zero cost to the government of receiving these monies virtually. So I don't see that changing. The good news is if you're a first-time buyer and you're buying up to 300,000, whether you buy before or after September the 30th, 2021, then the cost to you is zero. However, if you've got a bit more money and you want to spend a little bit more, then if you buy at 400,000, as you can see in the middle of this graph table, it's £5,000 that you'll have to pay if you buy before or after September. Now, it might seem strange that I'm mentioning September if you're a first-time buyer, but that's the date when stamp duty changes, and there are some savings to be made if you can buy before then, if you're not a first-time buyer. And we'll come on to those slides in a moment. So, but what you need to know is that if you're buying at 400,000 and you're a first-time buyer, then the stamp duty bill to you will be £5,000. Now, if you're lucky enough to be a first-time buyer buying at 500,000, 500,000, then you will find that you're unlucky enough to have a rather large stamp duty bill. Well, let's put that into perspective. It may look large, but when you see the numbers in a minute for the second-time home and the investors, then it's quite different. But if you're buying at 500,000, whether you buy pre or post September the 30th, 2021, your stamp duty bill will be £10,000. There are no ways around these figures. It is what it is, as they say. So that's if you're a first-time buyer. Now let's come on to if you've already got a property and this is going to be your second-time purchase. Now we're looking at the same figures again, just to keep it nice and uniform. If you're a second-time buyer, in other words, if you're selling a property to buy another property, so that is you're selling your own home in order to buy a new one, maybe bigger, a bit more space for you, maybe smaller if you're downsizing, then these are the figures that are relevant to you in 2021. There is a saving at the moment if you buy up to 250,000 there is an exemption from stamp duty. That changes on the 1st of October. So at the moment, if you're buying at 300,000, then the stamp duty bill up to and including September the 30th, 2021, the stamp duty will be 2,500. If you're buying that same property at 300,000 after 30th September, i.e. 1st of October 2021 onwards, then the cost to you will be £5,000 in stamp duty on the first 300,000. Now, if you're buying at 400,000 pre-September and you're a second-time buyer, then the bill will be 7,500 in stamp duty. It's payable, by the way, to the solicitor, usually upon exchange of contracts or completion, depending on whether you've got equity in the property that you're selling. One way or another, you're going to have to find it. And it's 7,500 at 400,000 pre-September the 30th. And from the 1st of October 2021 onwards, it will be £10,000. So a saving of £2,500 is available to you if you can buy before the end of September. And then similarly, just going up now, if you're buying at 500,000, then the stamp duty bill pre-September 30th, 2021 is 12,500. Post 1st of October and onwards, post September the 30th, it's £15,000 at 500,000 or more. Now, where it substantially changes is that if you're looking for an investment or a second home, then the numbers jump significantly. So if you're keeping your existing home, and when you're keeping your existing home to rent out and you're buying a new one, we call that let to buy rather than buy to let, because you're letting your own home to buy another one, as opposed to buying a property specifically with the thought of renting it out. Either way, the rub is the same as far as the government are concerned, and they consider it a second home. If it's a holiday home as well, it also applies, and therefore extra stamp duty is payable. Let's look at the numbers now. If you buy a property pre-September the 30th, 2021 at 300,000, your stamp duty bill as a second home or buy-to-let investment will be 11,500. And if you buy post-September the 30th, 2021, your stamp duty bill will be 14,000. Similarly, if you buy at 400,000 pre-September the 30th, 2021, your stamp duty bill is 19,500. And from the 1st of October 2021 onwards, i.e. post-September the 30th, at 400,000, your stamp duty bill will be a whopping £22,000. Now, jumping up the ladder at 500,000, £500,000, if you're buying a property to rent out at that level or a second home, then your stamp duty bill prior to September the 30th will be £27,500, or post-September the 30th or from 1st of October 2021 onwards, in other words, the stamp duty bill at 500,000 will be 300,000. Make sense? I hope so. It's a bit of a shock to many, especially if you're looking at your first investments. But you have to look at these things. You know, I've always said the biggest secret in property investments is time. You know, lots of people say, oh, you can get this angle, get that angle. And lots of people charge loads of money for very expensive courses of how to, you know, get the angle and buy cheaply and, you know, the secret sauce, if you will. And most of it's just rubbish, quite frankly. And most of the courses that are peddled at many thousands of pounds, we do you no good whatsoever. What you need to know is buy at a competitive price, as competitive a price as you can. And yes, it will cost you a big hit in stamp duty, but in the medium term, you should be a winner. Property normally comes out on top in terms of inflation in the long run. And remember, if you sit your money in the bank, then it's actually going backwards because inflation erodes at it. If you've got it in property, rents tend to go up in line with inflation and property prices tend to go up in line with inflation. So you can win on both sides of that equation, provided, of course, it covers your outgoings initially, plus a significant margin for things like service charges, managing agents' fees, that sort of thing. As long as you've got enough there to cover your exes, then you will find in the medium term it can be a great investment. It's certainly been something that we've advocated for many years, and many of our landlords have been very successful with. And I've always said that if you keep the property in the medium term, then you will find that you'll make money on it. If you try and make a short-term gain, that can be much, much harder to do. So although buy-to-let, very expensive in costs these days, not quite as attractive as it used to be because of the massive stamp duty take by the government, certainly it's still viable, but it will take a long time to recoup your monies. So I hope that's helpful. Hope you have a good day today. As far as the weather's concerned, here in Norbury, SW16. The weather is overcast, grey, but not cold. So it looks like it's going to rain. But as far as the day's concerned, lots going on, really busy at the moment. It's quite surprising. Not much stock around, really short of stock for rental, which is another reason, what you tend to find is that when there's not much stock around, rental prices start to get pushed. And that's another reason you want to be into the property investment business. But certainly right now, we're short of stock. We've got lots of tenants looking, not enough available to rent to them. So if you have a property you're thinking of renting out, do give us a call. And similarly, if you're looking to sell, we've got lots of buyers that are just waiting for that next instruction to come onto the market. So if you might be thinking of marketing, you want some advice, hints, tips and tricks of how to get the best from your home, the very best price, you need to speak to us. That's it for Ken at 10 today. Hope your family is safe and well. Have a fantastic day. We'll be back same time tomorrow.